Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, I really should be getting ready for bed, but I need to get a little bit something done on this every day. I took vacation for last weekend, that's why you didn't see any videos. Went to Montana, had a great time with my bros, and now I'm back and I'm going to get a little bit done on this, hopefully a little bit every night. Kind of, it's like the last video, kind of pecking away at it to get it knocked out. So right now I have a block. I did finish the layout, so it will sit something like this. Well, you can see that, but this section right here is going to get completely chopped out, and that is where the screw and the two guide rods are going to go through this section. The backside of the vise, the actual vise jaw that's up against the A-frame, will sit in here, and so I'll chisel this all away and I'll route it down to 9/16 depth. And all this that you see here will all remain solid, and then obviously the rest of this will remain solid. And that's it. So these are those beards I was talking about. You know, basically from here down is not typical on a vise like this, and most people just use well, let me see if I can find chops that came with this. And I can't find them, but very quickly anyway, but it's usually about this size, right? And actually this is a little large, so about that big, right? And I'm putting on this guy. So I wish I had the vise chop readily available so you can see the difference in size, but this is going to be, in other words, this is going to be a meaty chop. It'll extend past by 3.5 inches, and yeah, it's going to be a meaty vise. So let me go ahead and get to it. Flip it over. I laid it out, but I still have to chop, or not chop, but I have to cut my lines and everything. So just lay it out right up on my pencil mark, and I can go ahead and go all the way to the end, but you don't have to. Because I got 2 lines here, I'm going to scribble this away. But just go real light, a little bit heavier. Don't want to go all the way. And heavy as you want, so that it'll stay I wish I had my vise right now. I guess I could clamp it to the table. All that's going to get chopped away, and I'll transfer it over. Yeah, so it really isn't all that sexy or anything, just same thing for all the marking. Of course, I don't really need, actually I do. So I'm going to measure, I need to mark, before I cut this, I need to mark it, the depth, where to stop, because this is what I'm actually going to see. This is what's going, the piece is going to be clamped against this surface right here. So I need to mark right here. I have my marks this way and around to the end, which is the bottom, and I need to mark this way, but I only need to go to like right there, so I need to mark that depth. And I'll just take my rule and go to the depth. So I'll just basically go to the end of my rule. Real light. If you don't go real light, then you'll inevitably move your ruler, your combination square. I made that mistake a million times. I still make it from time to time when I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. Just remember, first pass really light. That knife, I'm just sliding my knife into that nick that came off of the edge, and then slide my rule right up to the knife. Real light pass. I just like dragging it across just to break those fibers of the wood. And go heavier and heavier. Alright. I don't need to go this way because that would be with the grain. But what I do need to do still is chisel away. So I'm going to grab my chisel, one of them anyway, and I have tool rolls for like almost anything. This has kind of been my I had a bunch of carving chisels in here, but I've gotten a different tool roll for that now, so I just kind of put my general tools in here. You know, just burnishing tool, X-Acto knife, some chisels, paring chisel, another marking knife, some scrapers, stuff like that. Go in here. I usually keep my screwdrivers, which are over there right now, but I keep those in here, that type of thing. And the chisel that I want is not in here. I think it's in my other chisel roll. My actual bench chisel roll. These things are great for everything. And there it is. And all I'm doing now is just giving it a shelf to ride on. Just be careful here not to split out the wood. And remember to chisel on the waste side, right? So all this is getting removed, so I'm cutting on that side. And just try to be as gentle as you can. Well, like this ash is dry and it's hard. So not the easiest stuff to work with, but it'll work for now. You don't need anything super strong. And right here, but I really don't have a place to clamp just yet, so I'll just butt it up against here and use my chisel hammer, and just tap it. Just don't go too hard, or you're going to go through to the good wood. And this is where a nice deep mark with your marking knife comes in really handy. Kind of babying this a little bit, but it'd be better if this was clamped, but this will work for now. One lesson that I have learned, took me a while, I didn't learn it right away, but when it comes to woodworking or metalworking, either the tool or the part needs to be stationary, fixed, clamped, whatever you want to call that. If not, you're inevitably going to end up cutting yourself. And what I mean by that really is, if you have a piece of wood and you're like carving away at it, you know, a lot of people will do one of those numbers. You have your part, your piece of wood, and your knife or your tool, each one of them in the hand, and neither one of them are affixed or held down, secured into a vise or whatnot, and inevitably you slip and cut yourself. Been there, done that, got plenty of t-shirts. So you can tap it with the chisel hammer. It's a little more, probably a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Predictable. But not quite as quick as just kind of pushing through. So I got 4 out of the 6. Now I just need to go this side and then we'll cut it. Yeah, this side is the sapwood. Remember this part? So this is the heartwood and this is the sapwood. So this is the softer face of the two. So you have the meat and then the soft. This is going to be the face of my jaw that my work will hit. And right now I can tell, I could tell right away I was in the sapwood because of the way it's chiseling out. It's much easier to chisel this than it was, or parts of it anyway, than the heartwood. Just a little bit, but noticeable to me. it should be getting in bed right now, or getting ready for bed, but if you're a woodworker, you know it's hard to pass this up and not get anything done. It sucks. So we can get a little bit done anyway. Might not be much, but make the best of what I got, what time I do have. I'll make use of it. Alright, so we're good there. I'll go ahead and mark this line on the back. And on the top, not that I need it, more so that you can see it. And it's coincidentally going to come just like if I set this chop down on the guide rods, it comes right above the bench top, so I want to bring it up just a little bit. They're nice and tight in there, and I'm going to use the saw that my daughter bought me and my son-in-law. I haven't used it yet, so this will be a first. I kind of just decided to use it, so this ought to be interesting. Never used a Japanese saw before. And like I had said in previous videos, when I showed these off, the interesting thing about these saws, now they're great saws, but they have teeth on both sides, right? So you have a rip cut pattern and a cross cut pattern. And Japanese saws, in case you're curious as to which one I have, I don't know if you can see that or not. I don't know what you can see or whatever, but this is a Gaikucho razor saw, number S650, something like that. Anyway, it's your standard Japanese saw, but they cut on the pull stroke, not on the push stroke. Most saws you push through and you cut, but this you cut on the pull stroke. So let's give it a shot. It's kind of weird because it's a different kind of handle. I'm handling it, you know. I'm just so used to grabbing it like this and pushing through it. Now I'm not, so it's kind of weird. See how it goes. So this is cross grain, so I'm going to use the cross cut side of this. This is probably a little thick to be cutting with something like this, but I guess it's just keep it in line and give a gentle pull. Check where I'm around on there because I can't really get to the other side on this. I could, I guess. It's just kind of awkward. Can't really get too great of a pull stroke on it like that, but can from this edge. As long as I keep it straight, go straight across, I should be fine. And it's tracking really well. Like I said, this is my first time using it for an actual cut like this. I mean, you can flush cut with it, but I've never used these. They're so flexible. I've never used one of these for an actual cut through a piece of lumber like this. That's going to be a much finer cut than, say, this guy, which is what I would normally use for this. I'm trying to compare right now, really. Which, maybe I'll do this side with this one. Right now, it's kind of enjoying this, the oddity of the novelty of this. So two-handed seems to work really well, more comfortable. Alright, so that cut relatively quick, first cut ever, I like it. Took a little bit of getting used to, but the double-handed motion seems to work really well. And it's probably time for this old distant to get sharpened, but I'm going to use her anyway. Don't have time to sharpen her up right now. And this saw is a distant D8. 8 inside the D if you're one of those snobs. Tracking well too. camera. This is the first time I've ever worked on ash too, so I'm not seeing how it's working. Cuts well with a saw. Now I'm not trying to power through this either. Just taking nice, easy cuts. And I'll say I kind of like this for the ease of being able to finish. Finish with this is easier, but I still think my Diston is much faster, I think. So now, to finish this off, should be as simple as chopping through it. Such a pain having tile floors. And for this, I'm going to go to a wider chisel. I'll just grab a nice wide 1.25 inches. And for this, I'm going to start, I don't want to start too far down or too close to the line. I'm simply going to go about 1/8 of an inch above. Because I don't know how the grain is going to react. And for this, since this face is going to be, this is the face that's going to get chopped away right here, inset. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and cut from my show side. Well, let me get my line marked, as I didn't really mark my cross line. I'm just going to mark to where I want to cut. So I'll mark there. All I'm doing is transferring that line across. Now this is going to be just shy. It's going to actually go a little bit deeper than that. Make that a little more bold. This way, if there's any tear out in the wrong direction, it will tear out it'll tear out a different way. It'll tear out into the piece that I'm going to take away anyway. Kind of thinking about how I want to do this, because it should just snap right off if it was smaller, but it's not small. So let's just get to it. Score it. And the only reason I'm doing this here which is kind of tricky sometimes, so split out that wood. I'm just doing that to make sure that my next few chops are not going to dig in, because the angle of this chisel will want it to will tend to make it dive down when you hammer it in. If I strike these hard enough, it should splinter those fibers all the way through and just snap this piece off eventually. What I could do also is make a series of cuts, which I may end up doing. Just make a series of cuts and then pop those off one at a time. I'm just trying this to see if it'll be nice and easy time saver. Flip it over and see what we have here. Now that line is scored, we can do it. Now, theoretically, I should be able to just pop this off. And we'll try and pop it in the direction I want it. Now I can go in, try to make it a little bit cleaner with a chisel. So that was a lot faster, turned out alright for me. To pop that off. It's not as clean as it would be if I sawed a couple more, put a few more kerfs in there and popped them off one at a time, but this is easy enough where I can chisel it down. And I did it an 1/8 inch too shallow, so now I got to pare down anyway. to the depth of my cut here. And it looks like it broke off pretty close, so I don't have a whole lot of paring. It's a interesting piece that I'm working, and kind of fun in its own right. Didn't quite cut all the way through there. I should probably go ahead and mark it, but you kind of get the idea. And I'll kind of throw it up in there so you can get kind of a view of what it'll look like. And well, it looks like I have to pare down the sides a little bit because it's barely not fitting. It's just a hair off too. But I was too far off. I have to pare down these sides. Just a little bit. This isn't the funnest thing in the world because as you figured out, I'm doing ingrain right now. Maybe a spoke shave will be a little faster. I just want to get it to where it'll sit in there. This ash has some tough ingrain. Trying to be gentle with it, but it's giving me a little chatter. Well, this is all the joy. This is the joy of woodworking. And everything kind of comes together differently. Every piece is different. I'm just barely breaking that corner now. I tell you, the vise is already working out like a charm, though. I'm almost to that line there, too. I guess I could have given it a little bit of playroom, but all I'm doing now is softening up the edges. Really no point in doing this until I know it fits, but just kind of how I work. So close. So close yet so far away. Oh well, we'll get it in there. We'll get it in there tomorrow probably. When I get off work, I'll work on this and we'll start working on that recess for the jaw. I know it's slow going. Believe me, it's more painful for me than it is for you. But anyway, so we're making progress little by little. You know, started out with a square block. I still have to pare this surface down here, and I got to pare this edge down, and we'll just get it even on both sides. And she'll fit right on there like a glove. Friends and family, I love you. Everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow.